yes, embrace the differences, but don't be led by the differences. And I say this because having worked for many years in agencies and for many brands and clients, and I remember particularly one, I'll name them, Nando's, and I remember my MD was, for the 15 odd years that I've worked in communications, probably up until my last agency, I was always the only person always one of two, or usually the only person of ethnic colour. So whether that's Asian or that's black, and definitely female. So they'll know young black guys, young Asian guys at all. And I worked with some of the really big global corporate agencies that, 300 people, 200 people. So just a bit of context. And going back to my other statement, why I say that is, so I remember kind of Nando's coming to us, and, great brand for the youth. And I remember the brief that we got was, we need to get these like young, 18-year-olds, 16 to 18 in the restaurant. And, if we look at the people that are eating Nando's, it's like black people. So let's work with Stormzy. And let's do... And I mean, at one point we did work with Stormzy, and he was great for the brand, but I was like, hold on, but why do we need to work with someone who's stereotypical or is seen to be stereotypical? Like, don't get me wrong, he's a very, very talented guy, very smart guy, but let's look at the things that make your brand unique, and let's actually make that interesting for our audience. So, it's a bit, you're just saying a big age group. Within that age group, you have people who, who may not necessarily be into music. You have people who are more into art. So why don't we look at making a brand that's inclusive and for all? So yes, we have touch points in music, and music that doesn't alienate other groups as well. We have touch points in art. We have touch points in kind of other things like spoken word. So I think kind of very early on, I started to really kind of see that in agency life. And my kind of experience being always the only usually black lady, my biggest frustration was always, I remember my reviews for God knows how many years, I'd always get, you're a bit feisty. It's like, because I've just spoken my mind. And I think one of the challenges in agency world, if I'm frank, is that people are scared of what they don't know. So the people at the top are people who are, a lot of them are from the same clique. They went to the same, whether it's kind of like boarding school, the same kind of grammar. So it's very much a clique, and which is fine. That is how it is. However, I think the fear comes in about opening your doors up to other people that you don't know. So bringing in someone who is from an Asian background, if they come in, how's that going to change my agency, what my agency stands for? Agencies have got a famous kind of, everyone has their own kind of mantra and what they stand for. And there is a fear that letting these people in, will we still be, and I say these people in a very loosely term, will we still be the same agency that we set out to be? My kind of push on this, and I was very much kind of for this at the last place I was at before I moved to Facebook, was very much, we need to, we work for some of the biggest brands in the world, and they want people to buy their products. How do you know who those people are? It's great doing surveys, because everyone loves doing a survey, but actually, some of those, especially some of the brands that you work on, the people who we want to buy and use our services and products are the people we should be getting in. So let's work with organisations who are kind of really pushing the BAME agenda, and who are really trying to get blacks and Asians and Chinese through the door in the corporate comms world, because there isn't enough of that. So what you find is that campaigns are developed, or people are pitched. I've had one agency when I was in Paris quite recently came to me knowing as well that you're pitching for kind of Francophone Africa, came with a whole strategy, and none of it included actually translating any materials in French. And I was like, but do you know who our audience is? Like, they speak French. And I think that is systematic of the communications industry and where we are at the moment. I'm really hopeful it will change. I mean, I always, every year, keep looking at the stats to see, let's see if there's more kind of, BMA in the industry. And it's slowly pushing up. It is slowly pushing up. what my desire is to see senior people at the top, because that's where impact can be made. And that's where decisions are made, and that's where agendas are pushed. And for me, you see a lot of kind of entry level comms people coming in from different kind of background, but they stagnate and they stay at a certain level. So I think we need to look at why is that, and not only from the agency point of view, but from the individual as well. And some people, it can literally, I remember once having a conversation with a young guy who'd come in and work experience, and his whole thing was like, really kind of digging. He never used to talk to anyone. He used to sit in the corner by himself. And I was like, what's going on? Come and join us. And kind of really digging deep into it. It was frankly because he was really tired, because his story was actually really heartbreaking. So he was like from a council estate in East London. It was just him and his mum, and had like 3 siblings who were all younger. He had to get up extra early to like get them ready, take them to school. By the time he comes in, he's tired and just trying to get on with his job, and isn't necessarily about kind of socialising, which is what the industry is about. So really understanding where he was coming from, it was like, okay, cool. So let's put things in place where actually once a day, let's organise and catch up with the team. So you can update us, and we're giving you time to have FaceTime, rather than you being seen as someone who's not interested and you're just lazy and everything else. So I think it's kind of understanding all those nuances. And as I said, my real desire is to see people like us at the top and really kind of pushing through. The numbers are growing, but it's just not growing enough, and it's just not reflecting who we are as a society.